Oi, oi, all right, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you. This is the Doodle Review coming through once again with a new album to give a spin, then track some fraff about, and then assign pointless score to. Today we're talking about this ripper from Umbra Vitae called Light of Death. Umbra Vitae are a supergroup. They're a formation of elite metalcore players like Jacob Bannon, Sean Martin, Mike McKenzie, and Greg Weeks of Converge, Hatebreed, and the Red Chord, respectively. Joined by John Rice of Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats on drums, the noise this collective make has been described by some as death metal, but I'll leave the labeling to those with a bit more knowledge in the genre than I do, and frankly, those that give a bit more of a shit than I do. This project evolved out of Jacob Bannon's Wear Your Wounds album, a long gestating solo outlet that attracted players like Mike McKenzie and Sean Martin as it was taken out on the road following the release of WYW in 2017. In the years that follow, Greg Weeks and John Rice joined the trio to fill out the rhythm section, and Umbra Vitae were formed. Releasing their debut album, Shadow of Life, in 2020, this project joins Blood Moon, Wear Your Wounds, and Blood from the Soul as one of many Bannon projects keeping the Converge fan base at bay as they patiently await a follow up to 2017's The Dusk in Us. Being the artist of integrity that he is, these Bannon related records represent far more than just stopgap projects or fun flights of fancy to toil away on until inspiration for his main band strikes, and Light of Death marks another in a series of impressive releases from the writer and vocalist. I actually haven't listened to a lot of metal albums this year, deathcore or otherwise, but choosing this as one of them has proven to be a solid decision to keep me interested in the genre as a whole, finding an LP that is both balls to the wall fun and challenging at the same time. I imagine, given the sheer number of ideas on display on this record, that when Umbra Vitae sat down in the studio before hitting record, they had to make a decision. Do they splice together all the hard grinding, intensely fierce riffs to make, one 30-minute sharp burst of metal fury, or do they take this bedrock of riffs as the foundation and from that push outwards to deliver a longer but overall more exploratory album? Such a specific conversation actually taking place is probably unlikely, but a choice was made, and the latter option I think was selected because of this. I think the band stumble into some slightly bumpy terrain around the midsection of the record, but taken as a whole, I think resisting the urge to rely solely on the mega riffs they had in the tank has made for a rich album experience. So let's talk about what I consider to be, the troublesome midsection and get it out the way so we can talk about the rest, which is absolutely killer. It's just two tracks, but it's where I find some attempts to mix things up don't quite come off. The first of these is Past Tense, which is a fairly short grinder of a track with a decent main riff, but there's a section where things are switched up to this offbeat kind of passage that no matter how many times I listen, I just find it really jarring. The next is Velvet Black, which is one of the first slower ones in the mix, and parts of it are fine, but I just find the climax after a very long build up to be pretty bland and anticlimactic, and the guitar solo is just a bit lame, to be honest. So yeah, a couple of tracks in the middle there, in my opinion, not quite up to the standard of everything else, which pulls things down a little for me. And it's not even the whole of those tracks, just certain decisions in certain parts that I don't think really work as a result, kill some of the momentum. But now that's out of the way, let's talk about the tracks on either side of that minor lull, because that's where the absolute sorcery is. I think the first track, which knocked the wind out of me, is the tune Belief is Obsolete. Now, if you're a fan of metal, particularly if you're into your Slayer, it really won't take much description from me to tell you why this track is so fucking rad. It opens with these wiry guitar parts that speed running up and down the neck, which is fun, but it's the chorus, Bannon's gloriously guttural vocals over those incredible double kicks and chug widdly riffs. It's amazing. Anti-Spirit Machine cooks up another sickening chorus that fully targets the stank-faced nerve center in your brain. That's if you're not screaming along with the words. Algorithm of Fear jumps beautifully between blast beats and a circular chugging groove, and Empty Vessel breaks into one of my absolute favorite halftime beats at the end. It's just honestly a shame, and probably my only other complaint with the record is that this part just doesn't go on for longer. Cause and Effect uses a classic metal trope to open one of the most epic tracks in the whole list, the classical guitar It's majestic, it's ominous, and sets the scene perfectly for a deeply dark, brooding piece that introduces us to the final third of the record. I love how the pitch bending strings also get gradually more and more severe as the track goes on. They sound almost in pain by the end of it. And in this last phase of the album, the band are just absolutely firing on all cylinders, and the LP's closed out by the incredible Nature versus Nurture with its chants of "There will be no way to stop us," making for one of the hardest hooks in the whole set. And the final track is Light of Death. And at this point, it just feels like the band absolutely plumbing the depths of their collective soul to just leave it all out there. It's furious and totally exhilarating. Overall, while I'd really love to finally hear a new Converge album, this Bannon project is absolutely at the top of all metal and metal adjacent albums I've listened to this year, and is well worth your time if you count metalcore, death metal, whatever. If that's your thing, you just got to get into it. I'm going to give this one a 7.6 and knock it on the head. That's just what I think. What are you lot saying? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, tell me how you feel about it. What other metal albums have you been listening to this year? Check out my description for links to other related reviews. And if you can be asked to do all that, then you may as well subscribe. Stick around, share some thoughts, show some love, or just wholesome abuse in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. All right, mate. My there you go. Take care, man. Bye.